라는 생각이 되게 많이 들겠다라는 그런 생각이 들더라고요. 그래서 제가
Lovely viewers, thank you once again for joining us on this emotionally rich journey. What you are about to hear is not just a celebrity update, but a heartfelt confession that has shaken the hearts of fans worldwide. Something happened just a minute ago, and it's not a rumor. It's not a tease. It's a raw, emotional truth from none other than Song Hye Kyo herself. After all this time, after the heartbreak, the silence, the speculation, Song Hye Kyo has finally broken her silence. And she didn't just speak about her past with Song Joong Ki. She confessed that she still loves him. Yes, you heard that right. After all the years of healing and moving on that fans believed had happened behind the scenes, this new chapter has opened doors that many thought were closed forever. And if your heart is already pounding with a mix of excitement, nostalgia, and disbelief, you're not alone. Let's take you right into the moment it happened. According to insiders, the confession didn't come during a press conference or a grand interview. No, it was much more human, more intimate. It was during a charity dinner where both Song Hye Kyo and Song Joong Ki were invited as surprise guests to support a children's art foundation. The mood was light, nostalgic even. There were smiles, warm greetings, and then, an unexpected moment of quiet vulnerability from Song Hye Kyo that silenced the room. While speaking with a small group of donors and friends, she was asked by someone older in the industry about her emotional growth in recent years. Her voice reportedly softened. She took a deep breath. And then she said something that left everyone stunned. You can let go of a marriage, but you can't always let go of love. I still love him. I never stopped. Yes, lovely viewer. That's the moment. One of Korea's most beloved actresses, admired for her poise and grace, allowed herself to be completely transparent in front of a crowd that wasn't even expecting it. It wasn't rehearsed. It wasn't media spun. It was real. And since then, fans haven't stopped talking about it. Social media exploded within minutes. Hashtags like hashtag Song Hye Kyo still loves Joong Ki and hashtag reunite Song Song have been trending non-stop. Fan pages across all platforms are flooded with throwback photos, clips from Descendants of the Sun, and hopeful messages begging for a rekindling of the love that once united two stars and an entire nation. But where does this confession lead? What does it mean not just for fans, but for the lives of these two individuals who've already been through so much? Let's talk about timing because many are wondering, why now? Sources close to Song Hye Kyo have said that for years, she kept her emotions locked away. Not because the feelings weren't there, but because the pain was too deep. Because both of them had tried to move on. Because silence, as many of us know, sometimes feels safer than truth. But recently, something inside her changed. Perhaps it was watching a scene from an old drama. Perhaps it was the feeling of watching her fans still cheer on the idea of the two of them. Or maybe it was just a moment of clarity, when her heart finally spoke louder than her fears. One of her closest friends, anonymously speaking to a Korean magazine, said, "She's been more reflective lately. She looks at old photos. She sometimes talks about the moments that were good. She doesn't speak with bitterness anymore. Just longing. And it's not just one-sided." Sources around Song Joong Ki have shared that he too was caught off guard by the confession. But not in a negative way. In fact, he was reportedly moved by it. That very night, after hearing her words, he approached her quietly and the two shared a brief, but deeply emotional conversation away from the crowd. One eyewitness said, "It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't fireworks. It was two people looking at each other like they finally remembered who they used to be." Lovely viewers, imagine being in that room. Imagine seeing two people whose love once captivated millions, now standing inches apart. No cameras, no scripts, just raw emotion hanging in the air. That's the power of real love. Doesn't fade easily. It transforms, it sleeps, it waits. But sometimes it finds a way back. And what about the people around them? The family? The agencies? That's where things get even more interesting. Insiders say that not everyone in Song Hye Kyo's life welcomed the confession. Some believe it's too late, too complicated. After all, both stars have lived separate lives for years now. They've changed. They've grown. But others, especially longtime staff members, have quietly supported the idea of reconciliation. One stylist even remarked, "I knew from the beginning that they were soulmates. They just lost each other for a while." Fans have also been decoding clues over the past year. Similar outfits, shared locations, sudden social media activity. And now, all of it seems to make sense. Maybe Song Hye Kyo was preparing her heart for this moment. Maybe Song Joong was waiting for a sign. And maybe, just maybe, we've reached the chapter we've all secretly hoped for. But let's not rush ahead. Let's stay in this moment with them. With you, our lovely viewer. Because this is about more than just a confession. It's about healing. It's about the courage to say what your heart has whispered in silence for far too long. It's about risking everything for truth. And isn't that what love really is? There's also the question of what comes next. Will they see each other again? Will they spend time away from the spotlight to rebuild something deeper, stronger? Or will this remain a bittersweet acknowledgement of what once was? We may not have those answers yet. But what we do have, what we will never forget, is this moment. This brave, vulnerable confession from a woman the world respects. She didn't owe us those words. But she shared them anyway. And now we are part of her story. Song Hye Kyo's confession isn't just about Song Joong. It's about every person who's ever loved and lost. About every tear that didn't get a goodbye. About the second chances we think we don't deserve but secretly wish for. So as we hold our breath for what may come next, let us also take a moment to thank her, for being honest, for being human, for reminding us that love, no matter how long ago it bloomed, is never something to be ashamed of. And to Song Joong, if you're listening, watching, reading, your name still lives in her heart, not as a memory, but as a possibility. Lovely viewers, this is not the end. This is just another beginning. And whether they reunite as lovers, as friends, or simply as two people who once changed each other's lives, we will be here, hoping, watching, believing. And if you've ever loved someone in silence, let this moment inspire you. This story that has touched the hearts of so many. Because once a confession like this is made, everything changes. The air feels different. Every glance, every gesture, every unspoken word between Song Hye Kyo and Song Joong now holds deeper meaning. And for those of us who have followed their story since the very beginning, this is no longer just a celebrity update. It's a healing moment for everyone who ever believed in real, enduring love. After Song Hye Kyo's heart-wrenching confession that she still loves Song Joong, the aftermath was anything but quiet. Emotions were high, whispers spread like wildfire, and fans across the globe held their breath. Could this be a step toward reconciliation? Was this truly the beginning of something new? Or the final chapter of a love story we never wanted to see end? Let's walk through what happened next. Because, lovely viewers, everything that followed only made the story richer, more emotional, and undeniably more powerful. The charity event where the confession happened continued into the evening, and though Song Hye Kyo returned to her seat gracefully, everyone could feel the shift in energy. It was as though the air itself carried her truth. Song Joong, who had been quietly standing near the edge of the room, was seen wiping his eyes. It wasn't dramatic, but it was real. His friends, those closest to him, noticed his breathing change. His posture slightly soften, as though something heavy had lifted or returned. He didn't rush to her. He didn't make a spectacle. But just a few moments later, he made his way across the room, paused beside her table, and leaned in gently. What he said wasn't caught by the microphones. There were no cameras capturing every word. But according to several guests at the table, his eyes locked with hers, and he whispered something that made her close her eyes, press her lips together, and nod slowly. They spoke for only a few minutes. No smiles, just quiet connection. And then he walked away, his face unreadable, hers full of something deeper than just emotion. It was a sense of release. Relief maybe. Or acceptance. Later that night, Song Hye Kyo was spotted stepping outside alone for a few minutes. Not to smoke. Not to pose. Just to breathe. She looked up at the sky, hands folded in front of her, and a few guests respectfully left her alone in that moment. But one photographer captured the scene from a distance. Her silhouette against the evening lights, quiet and still, a woman who had just taken one of the bravest steps of her life. That photo has since gone viral, accompanied by captions like, "She still believes in love," and "Sometimes it's not too late." But here's where it gets even more interesting, lovely viewers. Just 2 days later, Song Joong Ki's manager posted a cryptic message on his private account, later shared publicly by fans. Some stories are paused, not ended. That one sentence was enough to spark a wildfire of speculation. Was he responding to her confession? Was there something happening behind the scenes? Then, Song Hye Kyo herself posted something rare, a handwritten note on her Instagram story. Simple, elegant, painfully raw. It said, "I was afraid for too long, but the heart remembers. And I don't want to lie anymore. Whatever happens next, I'm grateful." That was it. That note broke the internet. Fans cried. Some couldn't sleep. Some commented thousands of times in support. And just like that, we all knew she meant it. This wasn't a passing moment or a nostalgic slip. It was real. It was something she had thought about for a long, long time. Now let's talk about their inner circles. Those close to Song Joong Ki have begun speaking more openly, cautiously but compassionately. One assistant who has worked with him since his early acting days said, "He never stopped caring about her. Even when they separated, he never spoke ill of her. He always said, 'She has a beautiful soul. We just got lost.'" Meanwhile, someone close to Song Hye Kyo, one of her longtime makeup artists, told a Korean lifestyle magazine, she loved him quietly for years, but she didn't know how to approach him again. There was pride. There was fear. But now something in her has shifted. She's choosing love. Isn't that something, lovely viewers? To choose love after heartbreak. To stand up and say, "I still care," when the world expects you to move on. But here's the most beautiful twist of all. Just 3 days after the confession, Song Joong Ki's car was spotted near Song Hye Kyo's residence. No paparazzi photos, just a blurry shot from a fan who happened to be jogging nearby. His car was parked discreetly. He wasn't trying to be seen. He wasn't performing for the public. He was just there. And insiders say that he stayed for more than 2 hours. No security, no entourage, just him and her. What did they talk about during those 2 hours? No one knows. But one neighbor said they heard laughter. Familiar. And a voice that sounded like hers saying, "Do you remember?" That one sentence says so much. Because reconciliation doesn't start with grand gestures. Starts with memory. With familiarity. With two people sitting across from each other and daring to reopen the door they once closed. And now, a week later, there's something different in the air. Both stars have gone quiet on social media. No updates. No press appearances. Just silence. And for fans, that silence feels like something sacred is happening. And what about their careers? Would a reunion affect their professional lives? Experts say it would only amplify their global appeal. They've always been golden separately, one media analyst said. But together, they are a cultural force. A symbol of real love, of second chances. If they choose to walk forward again, even just as close companions, the world will watch with hope. Lovely viewers, it's moments like these that remind us why we follow these stories. Not because they are celebrities, but because they are human. Because their struggles mirror ours. Because their love stories echo our own heartbreaks and dreams. Song Hye Kyo's confession has become more than a headline. It's a beacon for anyone who's ever wondered if it's okay to still love someone after time, after pain, after change. And as this story continues to unfold, remember this. Love doesn't always look the way we expect. Sometimes it's messy. Sometimes it's delayed. But when it's real, it finds a way. So stay tuned, dear friends, because this is far from over. Whether it leads to reconciliation, to a deep friendship, or simply to healing for two hearts that were once intertwined, one thing is clear. Song Hye Kyo's love for Song Joong-ki was never truly gone.